Hello everyone, my name is Kishan Agarwal. Today I am going to present my concept video of probability and statistics, and my topic is various types of events in probability. So let us see. First of all, what is an experiment? Experiment is a repeatable procedure with a set of possible results. So example for experiment is throwing a dice. If we throw a dice, there are 6 possible outcomes which we can get. We can get 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6. So we can throw the dice again and again, so it is repeatable. So the set of possible results from any single throw is the set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a simple experiment. So and we have seen that experiment is a repeatable procedure which have a set of possible results. Similarly, tossing a coin is also an experiment. So if we toss a coin, and see, we can toss the coin again and again, so it is repeatable, and the set of possible outcomes or results in that particular experiment is we can get head or a tail. So that is the set of possible results. So outcome. What is an outcome? A possible result of an experiment. That is known as outcome. So if we throw a dice, getting a 6 is also an outcome, getting 1 is also an outcome, getting 5 is also an outcome. So getting any number which is possible to get on a dice, that is known as an outcome. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are the outcomes which can be assumed if we throw a dice, or in the experiment throwing a dice. The next term is sample space. So before starting a topic of events, we will just learn the basic definitions of probability. So we have discussed experiments, outcomes. Now the third is sample space. So what is a sample space? Sample space are all the possible outcomes of an experiment, or the set of all the possible outcomes of an experiment is known as a sample space. So just now we have seen that in throwing a dice we can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So each individual outcome or each individual result which we can get is a outcome, and the set of all outcomes is known as a sample space. So here there are 52 cards. For example, choosing a card from a deck of cards. So there are 52 cards in a deck, not including the jokers. So the sample space is all the 52 cards, that is ace of hearts, twos of hearts, and etc. So on, all the 52 cards are the sample space of that particular event. So we can assume that 52 is the length of that sample space. So what is probability? Probability is a measure of the likelihood of an event to occur. Many events cannot be predicted with total certainty. So we can predict only the chance of an event to occur. That is how likely they are to happen. Using it, probability can range it from 0 to 1. Where 0 means the event is impossible. That means the event cannot be happened. Like getting 7 on a dice is an impossible event. That means we cannot get 7 in any throw. So the probability of getting 7 on a dice is 0. Similarly, 1 indicates a certain event. So probability of an event to happen, that is P of E, is equals to number of favorable outcomes by total number of outcomes. So here we have seen the word called event. So what is an event? Let us see further. So what are events in probability? Events in probability can be defined as a set of outcomes of a random experiment. Again, what is a random experiment? Random experiment, the experiment in which we cannot surely predict the outcomes are known as random experiments. That means there are multiple outcomes in that experiment. They are random experiments. The sample space indicates all the possible outcomes of an experiment. Thus, event in probability can also be described as subset of an sample space. So, event, like for example, getting 6 when we throw a dice is an event, and it is also a subset of the sample space. There are many different types of events in probability. Each type of event has its own individual properties. So this classification of events in probability helps us to simplify the mathematical calculations involved in the probability. Events in probability can be defined as certain likely outcomes of an experiment that forms a subset of a finite sample space. The probability of occurrence of any event will always lie between 0 and 1. There could be many events associated with one sample space. Next is, what are events in probability? Suppose a fair die is rolled, the total number of possible outcomes will form the sample space and are given by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a set or sample space. Let an event E be defined as getting an even number on a die. Then the E will be set of 2, 4, 6. They are even numbers. So thus it can be seen that E is a subset of the sample space and is an outcome of the rolling a dice. Next, we'll see what are the types of events in probability. So there are several different types of events in probability. There can be only one sample space for a random experiment. However, there can be many different types of events. Some of the important probability events are impossible events and sure events, simple events, compound events, independent and dependent events, mutually exclusive events. So as given, there will be only single sample space for any random experiment, but there can be different events or multiple events for a single random experiment. For example, we'll take a dice. Throwing a dice is an event. Throwing a dice is the random experiment. So there may be multiple events like getting an odd number, getting an even number, or getting a number multiple of 2, getting a number multiple of 3, or event of getting prime number. So there can be multiple events associated with a single random experiment, but the sample space associated with that random experiment will be only one, that is a set of 1 to 6 numbers. Yeah. Let us see one by one. There are more types of events like exhaustive event, complementary events, events associated with or, events associated with and, event E1 but not E2. So let us discuss one by one. What are independent and dependent events? So independent events in probability are those events whose outcome does not depend on some various or previous outcome. No matter how many times an experiment has been conducted, the probability of occurrence of the event will be same. For example, tossing a coin is an independent event in probability. On the other hand, dependent events in probability are events whose outcome depends on the previous outcome. This implies that the probability of occurrence of a dependent event will be affected by some previous outcome. For example, drawing 2 balls one after the another from a bag without replacement shows an dependent event. For example, there are 5 balls in a bag. There are 2 black and 3 white balls. So if we remove one ball from the bag, it may be black or white. So the next ball removed after the first ball will be affected, or the probability will be affected because of the number of balls will be changed. So they are dependent events. Next are impossible events and sure events. An event that can never happen is known as an impossible event. For example, we have discussed earlier that getting 7 on a dice, on rolling a dice, is an impossible event because it cannot happen. Or having 367 days in a year is also an impossible event. As impossible events in probability will never take place, thus the chance that they occur is always 0. For example, the sun revolving around the earth is an impossible event. Yeah. So sure event are the opposite of impossible event. Sure event whose probability will be 1 are known as sure event. A sure event is one that always happens. The probability of occurrence of sure event will always be 1. For example, the earth revolving around the sun is a sure event. And we'll take one more example, like getting a natural number when throwing a dice is also a sure event, because every time you throw a dice you'll get a natural number. The next type are simple and compound events. So what are simple and compound events? If an event consists of a single point or a single result from the sample space, it is terminated as simple event. The event of getting less than 2 on rolling a fair die denotes as E is equals to 1 is an example of simple event. On the other hand, compound event will be opposite of simple event. If an event consists of more than a single result from the sample space, it is called as compound event. For example, a compound event in probability is rolling a fair die and getting an odd number. So there are 3 numbers, they are 1, 3, 5, it's in the range of 6. So there are multiple outcomes, so it is a compound event. The next type of event is complementary event. So what is complementary event? When there are 2 events such that one event can occur if and only if the other does not take place, then such events are known as complementary events in probability. The sum of probability of complementary events will always be equals to 1. For example, on tossing a coin, let E be defined as getting a head, then the complementary event of E is E dash, that is the event of getting a tail. Thus, E and E dash together make up the complementary event. Such events are mutually exclusive and exhaustive. So, let us take a complementary event E as getting a odd number when we roll a dice. So the complementary event for E will be E dash, that is getting an even number when we roll a dice. So similarly, we can have multiple examples of complementary events. So in the complementary events, we can say that probability of E plus probability of E dash, that is complement of E, will always be equals to 1. The next type of event is mutually exclusive event, that is event that cannot occur at the same time are known as mutually exclusive event. First, mutually exclusive event in probability does not have common outcomes. For example, S is equals to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. This is the sample space, and A is the event that is consists of 4, 6, 7. They are the outcomes of A, and B consists of 10, 9, 8. As there is nothing common between the set A and set B, thus they are mutually exclusive events. Or we will take a real life example, like if we throw a coin, we can get head or tail. So getting head is one event and getting tail is an event. So they both are mutually exclusive events. Next type is exhaustive events. Exhaustive events in probability are those events when taken together from the sample space of a random experiment. In other words, a set of events out of which at least one is sure to occur when the experiment is performed are exhaustive events. For example, the outcome of an exam is either passing or failing. This is an exhaustive event. Passing an example is event and failing an example is also event. So if a student is writing an exam, so any of the events should happen. The next type of event which we are going to discuss is equally likely events. Equally likely events in probability are those events in which the outcomes are equally possible. For example, on tossing a coin, getting a head or getting a tail are equally likely event. Similarly, when rolling a dice, getting an even number or getting an odd number are equally likely events. Similarly, we can have number of examples and number of examples of equally likely events. So it literally means that the probability of getting or probability of the event will be equal. Our next type of event is intersection of events in probability. The intersection of event in probability corresponds to the AND event. Intersection AND event. If the two events are associated with the AND operator, it implies that the common outcomes of both events will be the result, and it is denoted by the symbol intersection, inverted U. For example, A is an event which consists of elements 1, 2, 3, 4, and B is also a event which consists of numbers 2, 3, 5, 6. Then the common elements or the AND operator we use between A and B, you will get 2 and 3 as common. Or when you throw a dice, let us consider A with the event of getting a prime number and B with the event of getting an even number. So if we'll take intersection, we'll get 2 as a common element in both the events. Next is union of events in probability. Union is associated with OR operator. Let us see. The union of events in probability is the same as the OR event. If there are two elements or two events that belongs to this group, then the outcomes of either event or both will be the result. The union symbol, that is U, is denoted to the OR event. For example, A consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, B consists of 2, 3, 5, 6. Then the A union B A union B will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the elements included in A and B will be included in the A union B. So important note on events in probability. Events in probability can be defined as certain outcomes of a random experiment. They are also, we have seen that they are events of probability are subsets of a sample space. The types of event in the probability are simple, sure, impossible, complementary, mutually exclusive, exhaustive, equally likely, compound events, independent events, and dependent events. And we have discussed every event in detail. Hope you all understood all the events. Thank you.